I know you love earning travel rewards and cash back, and that's why you're going to love Rakuten. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on everything you need to book your dream trip, hotels, flights, rental cars, experiences, and more, while still booking through your favorite travel sites. And don't worry, cash back can be earned on top of earning the credit card points and the hotel and airline loyalty points that matter most to you, depending on how you make your booking. Plus, with Rakuten, you can also earn cash back on groceries and other purchases like electronics, pet supplies, and more. And the best part, you can join today for free and start earning cash back on top of your travel rewards. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Rakuten, the most rewarding way to shop.
We were in Myanmar once. We were taking a bus up somewhere. And we were waiting for the bus. And some guy, I'm pretty sure American. He was like, "Where's the bus? Where's the 9:00 bus?" And they're like, "Oh, it left." He was like, It's only 9:00 now. What do you mean it left? Like, left at 8:30. And they were like, "It said 9." And like, "Yeah, it's wrong. It's 8:30. It was full." And so it left. And he goes, "What am I supposed to do?" And the guy's like, "I don't know." He's like, "But I checked out of my hostel. What am I supposed to do?" And the guy's like, I work at the bus. I don't work at your hostel. Like, I'm not representative of Myanmar for you. And the guy was so mad. We were just sitting there watching him. It was the morning. And we were just like watching him, the three of us. And it was like, we wanted to be like, "Hey, dude, you're already in Myanmar. Just fucking chill out. You're just like, just be here for another day. Go back and check into your hostel for another day. Relax, dude, relax."
I love that story because there's so much wisdom in there. What can you do when things happen on the road? Just relax, right? Roll with it. Enjoy where you're at. That is today's guest, Ari Shaffir. He is a professional comedian who is best known for his 2 Netflix specials, his 2 Comedy Central specials, and his last special had 6 million watches on YouTube in the first week. And I'm so excited to bring you this episode. I've always wanted to chat with a professional comedian. I'm a huge fan of comedy. I love watching stand-up and really enjoy Ari's work. So it was a pleasure to get to chat with him, not only about comedy, but travel. Ari is a huge traveler and he loves it so much. He actually just launched his own travel podcast called You Be Trippin. We'll get into that later in the show. And I wanted to pick his brain about the experience of traveling as a comedian. What is that like? How does that craft and being in that industry help him discover local cultures? We talk about the art of comedy. We talk about the importance of dark humor in society and get his experience kind of pushing through some of the tough times when you're trying to learn something and you feel like you're plateauing and you want to get to the next level. This is something everybody experiences with a creative pursuit or some kind of craft. How do you do that? He shares his advice and just a load more. We got stories from Iceland, Myanmar, Norway, had a lot of laughs and really enjoyed this conversation. And I know you're going to love it as well. So buckle up, strap in. Thanks for being here and welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friend.
You're listening to the Zero to Travel podcast, where we explore exciting travel-based work, lifestyle, and business opportunities, helping you to achieve your wildest travel dreams. And now your host, world wanderer and travel junkie, Jason Moore.
Hey, what's up? It's Jason here with ZeroToTravel.com. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, letting me bring a little travel into your ears today. This is the show to help you travel the world on your terms, to fill your life with as much travel as you desire, no matter what your situation or experience. Don't forget, we have a weekly newsletter you can sign up for, ZeroToTravel.com/newsletter. That is free. I write it. It goes out once a week. Be sure to sign up for that if you haven't. Now, as we get into this show, I'm so excited because I've never gotten to speak with a professional comedian before. And I wanted to hear about that experience, traveling as a comedian, what that is like to be out on the road doing comedy, to stand up in front of a group of people with just a microphone and your own thoughts and try to get them to laugh, that whole dynamic. It's such to me, an incredibly challenging craft. And I really admire those who dive in and do it. And I particularly enjoy edgy comedy, people that are pushing sort of the limits and almost making people uncomfortable in the room, because it's so difficult to write in that way and bring people from the edge, or maybe even make them angry. And then next moment, they're laughing. And we talk about that in this conversation. Of course, on top of it, it was such a joy because Ari is a big traveler himself. Not only does he travel for work as a comedian, but he loves travel and he does it for himself, just for the joy of it. And he loves it so much, as I mentioned, he's got his own travel podcast called You Be Trippin. Best place to find all the links to his work is arishaffir.com, SSHAFFIR. We'll link up to that in the show notes. But if you want to hear a little bit about his podcast, it's, quote, real folks, messed up adventures, hilarious disaster tourism. So basically, Ari has a different fellow wanderer on each episode, and you'll get to hear about some of their crazy stories out on the road. And he's got a lot of people in his network, like comedians like Shane Gillis and other just hilarious folks. He had Rob Lowe on the show. Really cool travel show. And as we discussed in this episode, we need more humor in travel. It's good to have a dose of humor with your travel, I think. Anyway, stick around on the back end if you're curious. One of the things we talk about is getting out of that plateau when you're working on something and you kind of get stuck in that dip and you feel like it's hard to sort of get out of. We talk about his experience doing that with comedy, but I wanted to share a quick tip, something that I think is important you can do anytime you dive into a new creative pursuit. Doesn't even have to be a creative pursuit, a new business, a new lifestyle, whatever. This is the permission you need to give yourself with any new pursuit. So stick around on the back end for that, and I'll also leave you with a quote to send you off on your day. Thanks for listening, and please enjoy my conversation with Ari Shaffir, and I'll see you on the other side, my friend. Cheers. Yeah, welcome to the travel podcasting world, Ari.
Thanks.
Welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast as well, I should say.
Yeah. What's the world like? I don't really know it.
Well, if the podcasting world was the United States, then the travel podcasting world is probably like Rhode Island or something.
Yeah. It's strange. People that are into it are so into it. And then the other people are just like, not my thing.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to talk about travel today. And I should just say formally, Ari Shaffir, welcome to the Zero to Travel podcast, my friend. And yeah, man, you're a welcome addition to the travel podcasting space and your show, of course, You Be Trippin. I imagine there's a bit of play on words there, which we'll talk about later. Yeah, we're only like about 2 months apart in terms of age. So we're pretty much around the same age. I was wondering, as a fellow Gen Xer, I guess, I mean, what do you value most about being a Gen Xer, if that is a thing?
Oh, damn. I guess it's cynicism. What is our, is looking at the world with like a critical eye. I don't know. I'm trying to think what defines us.
Do you think generational stereotypes are a thing?
It's so hard because it's like they don't stop and start. You don't have like a whole, and they also go so fast now, but it's like it's not like everyone before this age is into this. It's like more of a slow, mellow move. But we're like middle of Gen X, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I went into a vortex because I went to a Dave Matthews Band concert the other night. And then I had to put on this Lollapalooza 1994 t-shirt. And I went full Gen X for one night. I went back. I was there. I was back in the 90s, man.
Dave Matthews is weird. They have they have festivals and stuff. It's all just for like people with kids that do drugs one last time.
That might be a good way to describe it.
Hotel at the pool when everyone was there from Dave Matthews. It was like, what? You guys they're still together? And like, oh yeah, they're very together.
Very much together. The travel aspect of being a comedian, was that like a welcome addition for you when you were pursuing the career? Was it like, oh, okay, this is just part of the deal? Or was it like, wow, I get to travel. Awesome.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really something I was into when I started, but it's definitely something that served me. Like once I got into it. Yeah, really, I was just doing it for fun, just to do it. I wouldn't think I could go anywhere or do anything. But yeah, then it was like you find yourself like with a bug to go and also, a need to work. So like, how do you like get those two things to like meet somewhere, Some people have to take a year off or something like that. But then I can just like go for work. It's pretty great. I found myself in Iceland one day and I was like, oh, stand-up sent me here. I'm like, this is like a vacation spot for sure. And it's just like a stopover on my tour. So it was like, it's just cool. It sends you there for free, makes everything tax deductible. You guys don't really have taxes like we do, but like, um, yeah, it's just like everything's cheaper. It's just great. It sends you to the farthest corners of the world if you wanted to.
Well, I'm originally from the States, so I'm very familiar with being taxed there. No, I was listening to your interview with Dave Attell, and I mean, he was talking about, when he's abroad, he's always thinking about getting back to New York and what he's got to do in New York and everything. And so like, intense travel as a part of work it's not everybody's jam. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's not real travel when you're going for stand-up. There's like, we have a park in the middle of New York called Central Park. And it's like, for the people who love nature, it's not really it. But if you're going crazy, then it's like, it'll buy you like a week, of like, all right, I can see a tree. It's fine. That's what stand-up travel does. It's like, all right, in the meantime, between like a, 2-3 month trip, this will buy you a little bit of time.
Do you separate it like that? Because I'm sure you have your different routines when you're traveling for work. And do you piggyback off of those trips and kind of plan adventures around that, or do you take dedicated time to just go out and explore?
Yeah, it's both. So I'll try to like at the end of like a European tour or Australian tour, then I'll like try to like my friend, this guy Jeff Ross, this comedian, he told me once we were in Montreal, which is not really travel. It's like you going to Bergen or something. Um, uh, at the end of it, he met a guy from the Flaming Lips. We just randomly ran into him, and Jeff knew him, the lead singer, and he was like, "Hey, we're playing a festival tomorrow. Do you want to come?" And Jeff was like, "What do you say?" Or, we were going to leave the next day and go back to New York. He goes, "Let's stay an extra day." And he goes, "That way, it's not all about work. It's not, the whole trip is not about work. You stay an extra day, do something fun, and then it's like, then that's what's memorable about that trip was this Flaming Lips concert in Montreal instead of like 2 weeks of like shows." So yeah, at the end of an Australia run, it's like I'll go to like the Great Barrier Reef. I'll try to take a week or something once I'm in a long away place. Yeah, I did that for my European tour. I stayed in Athens. It finished in Athens, so I was like, let me stay here for like 8-9 days, and explore Greece a little bit once I'm out here. And
Sometimes it's hard to say yes in those situations because it's just easier to kind of like not, like in the Flaming Lip situation, it's like easier to just to get back on the flight you already booked and not have to deal with, rebooking or all this other stuff. But it's always worth it, man.
It's always worth it. It's my advice I get to all these comics. Like, you're going to get offered a gig in Switzerland randomly, or something like that. Just tell them to fly you back a week later. Because like you're too poor to actually be able to afford it. But I'm like, I'm telling you from experience, they don't care when they fly you back. Just be like, instead of flying back April 1st, say flying back April 8th, I'll figure out what to do until then.
I took my son to Estonia on a solo trip. Like, he's 6. We did or he's 5, but he's turning 6 this year. I mean, a boys' trip in Estonia from the Norwegian and the sort of Scandinavian perspective, it looks much different than the boys' trip I took with my 5-year-old. It would have been one of those things that was easy to like, well, do I, is he going to remember it? Do I need to really spend the money and, all this stuff? But man, it was so worth it. We had a blast. And I mean, but traveling for comedy or for work in general, like you get connected in a different way. So when you come into a town, I imagine you get to meet other local comedians.
Yeah. So I call it boots on the ground. It's like an army term, but like, you go to a place, you're like, I don't really know what there is to do or anything. You can read like a travel book or go online and figure out some stuff to do or see or get into, but it's all kind of surface. But then if you like live there, you'll know stuff. And so like knowing someone there, like other comedians, is like a great bridge. So like the Hong Kong comedy scene, they're like, let's go out, let's do stuff. And it's like, yeah, show me. What is there to do? And then it's like, we really got like had fun because like there's a connection there with comedian to comedian. You can just make friends with anybody. And then they're there. So it's just like, yeah, it just really allows you to like do cool stuff. Or randomly, like if you meet somebody. But comedians are great for it. Because you just connect, but they're also just like, forget that. That's on the travel books. Come this way. This is where it's like cool bar or underground scene or something like that.
By the way, you're allowed to curse here if you want. I
Oh, okay.
Just be yourself. I mean, maybe 7 a.m.'s like too early for.
Yeah, Norwegians is so proper. It's tough to know. I met some stripper last time I was out there. She was like, come hang out. And I was like, what time do you get off? She's like, 5 a.m. And I was like, I'll wait up. And then it's like, it didn't happen.
No. Well, like the boots on the ground thing you mentioned, those are the best experiences, right? Because they're the ones that they come out of nowhere. You don't expect to be, dragged to the karaoke bar by the crew of Japanese businessmen until like next thing you know, you're there and you're singing, U2 on stage, slicking your hair back, and putting on sunglasses and getting polite rounds of applause, But what are like one or two of the experiences that jump right to mind? Just like that was like the most unpredictable and awesome night
Yeah.
ever.
I mean, thinking about it right now, we met some people in Myanmar, and we went on this big long hike, like a 4-day hike, staying overnight somewhere. Then we all met up again. Everyone's from everywhere, from England and Germany and Denmark and Austria. And we were like, let's meet up again. This wasn't for comedy, but same kind of thing. So we met up in Austria. This woman was like, I know all these huts. You can go hike from one to another, like 6-8 hours apart up in the Alps. But it started in Innsbruck where she lived. And she was like, oh, everyone goes to this burrito place. It's like the cool place by the river. It's in the summer where everybody goes. And there's no way any sort of like research about Innsbruck, Austria would have taken me to get a burrito. But she's like, this is where everybody goes. This is the cool thing to do. And then everyone's out there, everybody's young and having fun and just like enjoying their lives. And it's like, oh, this is cool. But yeah, no way I would have gone to that. Another one, like in Hong Kong, like they took me out to Khao San Road. Is that there?
Bangkok, Khao San Road.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I forget the name of it, but it's in the center of town. And it's just like such a cool part of town where everyone comes together. And they're like, you can go to bars and get a beer, like sit in the patio, or just go to 7-Eleven, get a beer, and then meet the people in the patio for way cheaper. And it's just like, it just becomes fun. You just know the cool shit to do. Then there's like a torrential rainstorm and the whole road's like on a real hill. Damn, I wish I knew what the center of that town was. Doesn't really matter. It's just a name. But yeah, then you see everyone falling on this like road as soon as it starts raining. Like literally people just like fall and slide down this like main party road. Yeah, I don't know. My friend Ari Eljarn in Iceland, he was just like, let me show you it's like he used it as an excuse to go on a little vacation. And he's like, let me show you the north and the far east of Iceland. And we just got into like a plane and went to all these weird, cool spots. He took me to this like fissure inside like pretty much a mountain where there's like a hot spring where no one's in there. It's just like open. He goes, yeah, I kind of remember this has been years since I've been here. It's like, I remember there's like a sheep meadow. And he goes, we got to go through that. And you like jump over this fence. It's like, it's somewhere around here. We started hiking. And he's like, oh, I see some smoke. That's it. It's steam. And then you just like lower yourself down a rope. It's just like little slit in like the countryside side of a mountain. And you're just down there in this like hot spring. It was just you, the size of a whole apartment. And it's just you guys, just the two of us for like hours and just hung out there. It was just so cool, but only because I knew a comic there.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the Google Map directions, like go through the sheep
Yeah,
meadow.
yeah, that's what it was. He was like, it's been years, so this business closed down, but I know there was sheep. It was he was like, I think that's it. Let me keep driving. They would double back around. Exactly. I could never find it. I'd never be able to find it. He kind of found it.
Look for the rising smoke.
Yeah. He goes, it's easier to find in the winter because more smoke comes out.
We'll get back to the interview in just a moment. I know you love earning travel rewards and cash back, and that's why you're going to love Rakuten. With Rakuten, you can earn cash back on everything you need to book your dream trip, hotels, flights, rental cars, experiences, and more, while still booking through your favorite travel sites. And don't worry, cash back can be earned on top of earning the credit card points and the hotel and airline loyalty points that matter most to you, depending on how you make your booking. Plus, with Rakuten, you can also earn cash back on groceries and other purchases like electronics, pet supplies, and more. And the best part, you can join today for free and start earning cash back on top of your travel rewards. Go to Rakuten.com or get the app. That's Rakuten, Rakuten. Rakuten, the most rewarding way to shop. Now, back to the show. With the cultural differences in comedy, I'm wondering, have you noticed some different cultural styles that you've implemented into your own style? Or
Yeah. Well, there's also a lot of similarities. It's pretty strange. I mean, the United States kind of leads the world in stand-up. Not just like, I mean, like the best, but I mean, like they're leading the world. So like people are doing their own version of American stand-up, except in the UK where they're doing their own version of like theater. There's this like Icelandic artist, Ragnar Kjærlson or something like that. He's like a visual and like sound artist. And he was doing the show I saw him in somewhere in Phoenix. Like, it's so cool. And then I asked my Icelandic friend about him. He told me, he's like, hey, he's got a new show coming to New York. I can get your tickets. So he's speaking and he was talking about how art in the US, he said music in the US is different than in Europe, because in Europe, everyone goes to art school to become a musician. And he goes, in the US, it's not like that. You don't go to art school for that. It's just like, and then he like asks like somebody, he's like, what does this mean? And he says the words, and then somebody whispers back and he goes, okay, in the US, music is from the soil, which is actually a great way to put it. You have like people like Jimi Hendrix, like, poor people that someone gave him a guitar, BB King or something like that. And it's not like taught so much in schools. And that's how stand-up is in America too. It's just kind of like exists on its own. So everyone's kind of doing that version, except the UK. But I was in Norway, actually, I can't remember if it was Bergen or Oslo. And there was a club, but there was a big room upstairs and then downstairs a local show. So it was everyone speaking in Norwegian. So they were doing stand-up in Norwegian. I was watching. It was so interesting because it was like, I was talking next to the promoter. I couldn't understand it. But I was like, what, is this guy making fun of his mom right now? And he was like, yeah, he is. I was like, okay, cool. Like, you just figure out little things and you're like, I get it. I can follow along. It's like, who's that character?
The international language of making fun of your mom.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's all kind of the same in that way. It's pretty interesting. But then like places like Berlin where everyone's from a different place, it's like it really comes, the stand-up is kind of about being in a new place. That's like, that's the scene. Everybody in Hong Kong and in China they're all there on contracts, 3-year contracts. So all the stand-up was about being in China as an outsider. And then in Europe, in like the festivals they have there, especially in the UK, it's really about putting like a long show together as opposed to just like a bunch of bits. So that's different also. And that I definitely learned from this festival style.
Yeah. I mean, what about in terms of the crowds? Because, well, I've seen this on numerous occasions going to see artists perform, musical artists. I mean, it just happened at this concert I mentioned the other day. Like at one point, the artist will be like, wow, you guys are like eerily quiet. Like you're listening so close. It's actually making me nervous. At a stadium concert, I was with a buddy of mine who actually we went to the same high school, didn't know each other at the time. Both ended up marrying Norwegians and met here, which is crazy, and both work and travel, which is totally random. But I could actually like whisper something to him in between songs and he could hear me.
Really?
Like that doesn't happen at an American. Yeah, there's just the crowds are just attentive and kind of there's like a quiet, polite. It's just, I don't know. It's not as, being an American, I just think it's not as rowdy.
Yeah, in Stockholm they clap in between every joke instead of laugh. And it was like 10 minutes in. I was like, what are you guys doing? I had to like stop. Like, why are you guys clapping at everything? This isn't like a juggling bit. And then the next bit, they would like start to like clap and then stop. I'm like, guys, you're overthinking it. Just if it moves you to laugh, laugh. It was just so weird. It throws you off.
So you have noticed some cultural differences there with the crowds and.
Yeah, for sure. In certain spots and in Europe too. But also it's like some of Eastern Europe I just went to. Those people are sick fucks. It's crazy. You can't offend an Eastern European.
It just, you can go so dark, it doesn't even matter.
They don't care. They're like, well, my sister disappeared like 18 years ago in the middle of the night. So he's like, your words really don't matter to me. It's like, oh, and like, I really way prefer that over like U.S. audiences that get like fragile sometimes.
you're the first comedian I've had in this podcast, and I've been wanting to have a comedian on here just to talk about comedy, because I have so much respect for comedians. It's like probably the thing I watch the most is stand up outside of probably anything in terms of watching TV, because I think it's like it's the most extreme in terms of like it's probably like the lowest barrier of entry. It's yourself and a microphone. The extreme like to difficulty ratio of all art forms. It's like if you're like looking at, okay, somebody with a microphone by themselves, okay, make me laugh. It's just like it's such a difficult thing to do. I think, I don't know, I find it inspiring. And then I like dark humor actually, and I think it's important, but I can't articulate why it's important. And despite my sunny disposition, and people know that from the podcast, I'm like a generally positive guy and everything, but I'll put on like Jimmy Kennedy, or like I watched your special, which I thought was fantastic. I don't know. I think dark humor serves an important role in society, but I don't know how to articulate that. Can you?
Yeah, it's hard to articulate because I like it too. I like seeing it and I like doing it, but it's like it's tough. It's like there's a difference between people who like it and people who don't, and they don't really see each other's sides. Like someone will be like, "Well, that's not funny. Let's say something really dark," without getting too alienating or now current. Like, okay, the AIDS epidemic. Like it was terrible. So you can make jokes about that. People are like, that's not funny. Like a lot of people died. And you're like, yeah, that's why we're laughing, because a lot of people died, because like you're making light of such a terrible thing. You know, the Holocaust, another good example. It's like AIDS, the Holocaust, and like some other stuff I won't mention. But like you're making light of it is because you feel how terrible it is. If you compare like, I don't know, getting an offender bender, like, or like being late for work is the same as dropping your pizza. It's like, well, that's about the same. But if you're like, well, I was late for work, it's as bad as like, the Holocaust. It's like the humor there is that it's not nearly as bad as the Holocaust, but you understand how bad that Holocaust was. So you're like, that's now funny because you understand how bad it is. If you didn't think it was very bad, it doesn't work as a joke. Dropping your pizza is sort of bad, but not really, cryable. So it doesn't work as a joke. It's just not nearly as bad to make that as a comparison. I don't know. I think it's just like a way to get laughs out of something. It's like reclaiming something terrible, but like, it's almost like refusing to like, something you don't feel bad about it. It's just, you won't wallow in it. One time we had a friend who died in the middle of the night. Everybody loved him, this comedian, Freddie Soto. And it was just like devastating for a lot of people. Just didn't wake up one day. He was like 35 years old. And everyone was crying. And at the time I was banned from a comedy club in Los Angeles. I was like punched to another comedian when I was younger. I was like rambunctious. And anyway, they said, hey, you can't come here for like a month. You're banned for a month. Okay, fine. Anyway, in the middle of the month, this guy died, Freddie. And so I was like devastated. Everybody's dead. We all just kind of like naturally met up at this comedy club. And I met one of my friends and we just hugged. We were like sitting on the sidewalk outside, just right there. As soon as I saw him, we just kind of collapsed. And my other friend walked by and he goes, well, I'm glad you're still fulfilling the ban and not coming inside. And he said it as a joke, and it was just such a terrible place for all of us. But like that, it just gave some like levity to a terrible situation. And so like that joke wouldn't have worked if it wasn't in like the face of a horrible thing. It only worked there because it was like, it's so wrong that it jumpstarts you. It gets you to laugh. But I haven't been able to really define it either.
I mean, this is what you do. So I was really curious about your perspective on that. Yeah, part of what you're saying is that for dark humor to work, there has to be empathy baked in some ways. Like the audience has to understand that this person's actually empathetic and they actually care deep down, and that what you're hearing is, like you said, reclaiming of something in some way.
Yeah, to be callous or lighthearted in the face of something terrible is like, it's silly. That doesn't fit. So that's why it's funny. It doesn't make sense. It's asking a 5-year-old if they're 35 years old. And they're like, what? That's crazy. I'm not 35. I'm definitely 5, and they'll get a laugh out of it. If you ask them if they're 6, they just go, no, I'm 5. Because it's not it's not ridiculous enough. The ridiculousness. And so other people who don't like the dark humor is like, don't you see that's horrible? And you're like, you want to be like, I do see it's horrible. And then I've now taken the next step. And you just haven't taken the next step. You're actually more empathetic to how terrible it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to define. You either like it or you don't.
I know your father was a Holocaust survivor, and you have like ties to the Holocaust directly in terms of your family and tragedies. And so when you're writing a Holocaust joke, and for your special, like let's just use your special Jew as an example, and you're writing these jokes, do you have that conversation with your family? You're just like, hey, just so you know, like this is coming, or are they just so used to it now? Maybe this has changed over time, but let's go back then. How did you kind of do this in the beginning? Like, how did you get people used to like, yo, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. And you're going to have to like and accept me. Or yeah, what was that like for you? Because I think this is an important part of pursuing any craft for anybody listening. And maybe I'm fishing for some advice here too.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if like, I don't know, you got abandoned by your parents and then found them again later in life, and you want to like do a visual art about like being an orphan, or being mistreated. And then you're like, and then if your parents who like, reclaimed you or like, come on, that's going to make it look bad. It's like, I know, but I'm doing my experience. I can't help it. You guys came into this. I'm sorry. I got to do it. But I mean, advice would be like, use a fake name when you get started. So people can't actually track down the person.
That's practical advice.
Yeah. That's the only thing I wish I had told myself. Like, use a fake name. I didn't know how easily everybody was able to search everyone now. So if you make any joke about any sibling or parent or cousin or nephew, it's like decent chance they can track them down. So yeah, be Bob Smith or whatever you want to do. Bjornson Korkelson. Whatever. Sorry. But yeah, it's just like, they know I'm joking, but I've been lucky. I've had to be like, how does dad feel about this? He goes, yeah, he knows you're being ridiculous. And I'm like, all right, he's not an idiot. But then there's some people who are like, that's terrible. And I'm like, well, my dad's fine with it. So he's a survivor. You're just a 38-year-old who's mad.
That's the ultimate comeback. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone who's there seems to understand I'm joking and seems to say I'm like showing how terrible it was.
Yeah. But when you're writing these jokes that toe the line, how many times do you go back and forth with the punchline, or just kind of like how far should I actually take this? Because I'm sure you have a lot of ideas that are scribbled out when you when you get to the end
to me,
of
it's just about losing the audience. I try not to think about anybody I know, because it's going to be like, that's really going to get in the way. I don't want to give away any secrets of anybody. If it was me and you in Oslo going to like some strip club or something, and then I'm like and something crazy happened, I'm doing a bit about it. I'm like, well, if you're married and you're not allowed to go to these trips, it's like, this might get you in little trouble. So in that case, I'll say it was somebody I met in Denmark instead, But if it's just like, you're not married, but you shit your pants when we're out, then it's like, sorry, buddy, you got to eat that. Sorry, Jason. Like that's like, you're gonna have to like suffer in this, because I don't need to change that detail, but you're gonna get made fun of.
You're like, I'm sorry, 5 million people are about to hear this story. So,
yeah, it's embarrassing, but it's not divorceable. So it's like, you deal with it. But yeah, otherwise I'm just like, but also a lot of times me and my friends at some of the darker comics, like, it's like, you'll do stuff and the crowd will be like, no way, we're not going with you on that. And you're like, all right, well then I got to tone it down some.
Okay.
But as long as the crowd will get it and I can put them there, then it's like, keep it going. I love doing it.
I mean, is that part of the rush of just kind of like riding the wave of the performance and kind of like bringing them in and out and just kind of like winning them back over? Or...
Yeah. Dude, getting someone to laugh at some stuff they're really not supposed to laugh at or don't want to laugh at is, to me, that's my favorite laughs.
Do you see individuals in the audience where you're like, if I can make this person...
Oh, yeah. You see somebody start to be mad, and then there was some school shooting. Oh, you guys don't really have these there. But we have school shootings it's a very unique American thing, where someone will shoot up a school. Well, maybe you've had one. But like, I remember doing a joke about one of them like the day after, and some guy's like, that's not funny. I'm like, well, it's just too soon. He goes, it's not too soon. It'll never be funny. Death of children is never funny. I was like, all right, whatever. And then I ignored it. I've been heckled enough times. And then I was doing another 10 minutes, and then I was doing a Holocaust joke. And I won the crowd back with some lighter stuff, and then doing this Holocaust joke and everyone laughing and turning to see this guy laughing. I'm like, so it's not never funny, right? You can eventually laugh. And he was like, all right, you got me. You're right. You're right. More time. And that was like, a well fought laugh.
Right. Right.
To make him rethink what is funny. It was like, all right, too early for you, but yeah, if I can get someone to be mad and then come around, I love those. See an angry face laughing.
Yeah. I don't know if you know Seth Godin, and he's like this marketer guy, but he has this thing called the dip, he calls it, which is this moment, or not just a moment, but usually a period of time, sometimes a long period of time. I'm sure when you decided you wanted to be a comedian and you were just like kind of all in on that, the euphoric sense of like, oh, I'm doing this thing, like this is awesome. And then you get to a point where you're just grinding. Like it's hard to get better. You're like plateaued in some way. It gets tough. And then you have to kind of keep pushing forward. How did you do that with comedy? Like how long was that? Was there a period like that for you? And how did you kind of keep it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that in golf too. Your golf game gets better and better. Then all of a sudden, just like you stop improving. I mean, in the beginning, you get so much better. Just lift the ball up. It's like, oh, cool, I hit the ball straight. Oh, I hit a long putt. And then it's like, now I'm not getting any better. And then like you'll get even for a while, and then your handicap will drop like 4 or 5 strokes like at once, and then stay even a little bit. It adds up. It's right for stand up also. You're terrible when you start. The first time you're actually pretty good because you put 6 months of work into like one set. And then every time after that, you don't have that kind of preparation time. So it just becomes like worse. But you get better and better and better as you go up. And then you just kind of, like you said, plateau. And then it gets frustrating. And through that frustration, then you make a giant leap. But the frustration is part of it. Or your understanding of the world has grown, but your technique has not. Like you get older and like more wise, but like your technique is not quite able to express that. If you're a writer, like I don't know how to do this, or a film director, you're like, how do I make that? You want, I don't know, you're grown, more cynical, more realistic about the world. You just can't get there. But then your technique will catch up and pass it, and then it's like, well, now my understanding of the world has to catch up to my technique. It's like now you're like really good, but you had nothing to say. You're still only 30 and you've never really like faced death. You faced heartbreak already. Okay, that's out of the way. But then, all your parents are still alive and your friends. So it's like, and then, when you get to around 40, then your friends start dying and then you're like, okay, now I can deal with that. When I started, I was like trying to do some bit about Palestine and Israel. And it's just like, I wasn't good enough yet to like, I come just from living there and I was like, I still have so much rage about the whole thing. So it just came off hateful. And then like probably 10, 12, maybe 15 years later, I was like, then I could do bits about it and just stay funny.
What is the advice you would give to somebody that's kind of in that mode with whatever they're pursuing right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the bombs help the kills. So it's like, it is part of it's like you got to pull over for gas. So you're not making good time while you're pulling over for gas. You're going 0 miles an hour, but like it's part of going, 100K. It's just part of it. So it's like that plateau is, let it be uncomfortable. Like it shouldn't feel good, but just tell yourself like this is so that I can then make a jump, but it should feel shitty. Yeah, like change is always good in your life, but like, your wife leaves you and walks out and takes the dog. It's like, you shouldn't be like, all right, it's changed. It's going to be great. Like, that's how you pull yourself out of the rut, but it should feel terrible. That'll make it good. If it doesn't feel bad, you'll never get better. But yeah, I don't know. And then sometimes you just don't get better. So that's what makes it tough also. You're like, I might have just topped out.
Yeah, maybe just that idea of acknowledging that, okay, this is the period I'm in. I'm in like this plateau period, and like giving yourself permission to suck, which we've talked about.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, yeah. They taught Andre Agassi, this tennis player, that when he was like starting, he was like a teenage like phenom, and they taught him how to hit hard before they taught them how to aim. And they usually teach people the other way around, like how to hit to the best of your abilities. And he would just smash balls, but like never get anything in. And then they're like, now let's control that. And then it was game over once he learned that, you know?
Yeah. Using that example, do you have any counterintuitive approaches to things in life like that, where you're like, oh, most people do it this way, but I find that doing it this way has actually accelerated my growth or whatever, my craft?
Well, like in travel, I'll try to like leave. I'll leave my phone and my computer at home a lot, and like it's not as good on a day to day. Like I don't know, you won't know how to get the bus anywhere or the train anywhere, or easy, like, Google Maps directions to like almost any city in the world. Their public transportation systems on Google. You can just figure out how to get somewhere. So it's like worse, but then you end up talking to people more, and like getting of directions is actually helpful to like the experience of being out there. So like you make yourself uncomfortable at first. It's still going to be uncomfortable. Discomfort is real, but then it'll like reveal something in the long run. So in stand-up, it's like, if you just do good rooms, it's like not going to make you the best. Like do bad rooms. Like there's advice in Australia, in I guess Melbourne. This booker, Kylie Sparrow, was like, this whole secret is just do bad rooms. Just do bad rooms. You'll get better. And all the people who do really good rooms are like, don't get better as much. It's like lifting weights with a spotter and who's doing all the work. It's like, you really need to like lift a few times on your own.
We'll get back to the interview in just a moment. Now, back to the show. I mean, to do what you do, you have to kind of have a desire to put yourself into uncomfortable situations. Isn't even the word. It's just like, you have to be able to like, I don't know. Do you have to be somewhat masochistic in some way? Like, I'm just going to take this room full of people like hating on me right now. I'm just going to like take it all in. Is this part of like how comedians are built in some way? Or
yeah, sort of, not all of us, but like, yeah, exactly. Sometimes they hate us and you're like, that's fine. I've done this enough times. I've been hated enough times. This doesn't bury me anymore. So like, let's go. This is funny to me, because it's also like so ridiculous. I love an uncomfortable situation looking at it, but it's like, these people all came to laugh, and in fact, they paid money to laugh. It's not just a random, I'm someone in a good mood at a wedding. They paid money just to laugh. And then you have the comedian who prepared to get someone to laugh. And now you have this audience of people who want to laugh, met with a professional, not just some guy who's like, let me make you laugh. A professional does it all the time, who tries to get people to laugh, with a group that come to laugh in a setting that's made for laughter, and it's silence. And you're like, how many things went wrong for the connection to not get laughs right now, or to get anger? It's so off. It doesn't even make sense how that could happen. But then when you see that happening, you got to laugh. You're like, this is hilarious. It's so off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in some ways though, people paying to come laugh, it's like, it creates this expectation, right? I mean, you could say the same in travel if you're going to a place and you have all these expectations, and, now it's like, it has to live up to it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for you on stage, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I hate like certain shows, like New Year's Eve shows. It's like, nah, this is the same shows you're getting on a Tuesday, just because it's a Thursday, December 31st. It's not more special, but they all like, this better be great. We're all wearing tuxedos for this. And you're like, it's just stand up, dude. We were in Myanmar once. We were taking a bus up somewhere, and we were waiting for the bus, and some guy, I'm pretty sure American. He was like, where's the bus? Where's the 9 o'clock bus? And they're like, oh, it left. He was like, it's only 9 o'clock now. What do you mean it left? Like, left at 8:30. And they're like, it said 9. And like, yeah, that's wrong. It's 8:30. It was full. And so it left. And he goes, what am I supposed to do? And the guy's like, I don't know. He's like, but I checked out of my hostel. What am I supposed to do? And the guy's like, I work at the bus. I don't work at your hostel. Like, I'm not representative of Myanmar for you. And the guy was so mad. We were just sitting there watching him. It was the morning. And we were just like watching him, the three of us. And it was like, we wanted to be like, hey, dude, you're already in Myanmar. Just fucking chill out. You're just like, just be here for another day. Go back and check into your hostel for another day. Relax, dude, relax.
Like you can literally walk a block and see like 1,000 things you've never seen before.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Stand your day, buddy. Like, calm down. You're in the middle of nowhere. You're there already.
I mean, it is good travel advice at the heart of it. Just like,
Yeah, you're
just
already there. It doesn't
like
have to be the right place.
Yeah, there is in a lot of ways. There's no right place. I mean, like a lot of times I think about the big sites I've seen, and those are great highlights. Like going to see the Sistine Chapel is spectacular, or whatever. But you don't remember that as much as you remember like the random meal or like the.
And the thing you find yourself also, there's something to it. Like there's a sandwich place in the East Village of New York. And when I moved here, it was late night, weird sandwich creations. Very strange. Like roast beef and cantaloupe and seaweed with jalapenos. And you're like, what? And everything's great. And they all name something. And I was like, this thing is, I told my friend about it. And then he looked it up on Yelp and he was like, oh yeah, there's like 10,000 reviews. And I'm like, okay. But if I had just looked it up myself, I wouldn't feel as much ownership over it as me having wandered by and found it. And so sometimes those things are the popular things and other times those things aren't. But either way, you finding it yourself just makes it like the discoverable part of it, makes it more like unique. And like you really feel like it's yours. Like I discovered this randomly instead of it's the thing to do. The Eiffel Tower you didn't discover, But some coffee shop, some cafe in Paris, you're like, it's the best one. I love it. Yeah, and people are like, those cafes everywhere. You're like, no, I don't know. I just found this one. I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, that's so true. I haven't thought about it like that, but that's so true. Like same place, you see it online or you don't see it online, totally different feeling.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, just fine. I don't know. And it's like there's no wrong. Yeah, everyone looks for the best place on like the Google Maps, like what has 4.9 stars. Well, this one has 4.7, this one's 4.9. And you're like, I don't know, man, like just any place is pretty fucking good. Like it's all gonna be pretty cool and out there. And don't waste like an hour trying to find the best place. It's like anything's good. I'm trying to think what I did in Oslo that was like just like. Is that Bergen or Oslo? You have a river that goes like from inland down all the way to the water?
That's in Oslo. Well, I mean, that could be in Bergen too, but yeah, there is something like that in Oslo.
Yeah, I think it was just like I walked along that one day on a nice day. And it was just such a lovely thing. And it never came up on any like, and there's a bunch of graffiti along the walls there. I think it's there. And it was just like, it wasn't in any of the travel things. I just started wandering and then just followed the river. I just like really loved it.
Did you see the penis head swans?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then you were in Oslo.
Yeah. Okay. That was there. Exactly. I was like,
because I know you wouldn't have missed the penis head swans.
I forgot about those. Yep. I was like, what? I was like, what the fuck are these? They're still there. Well, that makes me happy.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. That stuff. It's like, you just find it and you're like, this is awesome. Yeah. Just going away from like the norm. It's just like, but also, like, you might have a terrible day. You might find nothing, but it's still cool. It's still foreign.
Do you feel like you can embrace other parts of you on the road that it's harder to embrace at home? Yeah,
it's a good way to say it. You embrace different parts of you. Yeah, just the figuring shit out. I was traveling through Asia for a while, for a few months, Southeast Asia, and I had some flip-flops. And eventually they started stinking. They just started smelling from wearing every day. And I tried to like wash them and the smell didn't go away. And I'm like, it's bad. And I soaked them in like soapy water in a bucket overnight. It was in Cambodia. And it was like, pulled them out the next day. I'm like, damn, that smell is still there. It was like, it's done. It just reached critical mass. It's like in South Park where the pools became all pee. And so I'm like, all right, I got to find more shoes. And so I went around for a day to like find, new flip-flops. And I'm an 11.5, 45, I guess, European. And they just don't have it in Asia. They just don't grow people that big. So instead they were showing me like, 42s. And they're like, no, this won't work. I'm a 45. And then really 45 or 46. And they're like, no, it'll stretch. I'm like, the sole won't stretch. That's the top. It might stretch from 44 to 45 if it's a sneaker, but not like, no way, 42 to 45. It doesn't. And they're like, And I just couldn't find anything. And then I finally found some in Phnom Penh, my size. and they were like name brand ones. It was like Quicksilver or something. And so it's more than I wanted to spend. And then they broke a week after I bought them. I was in East Timor, and I was like, oh, they were knockoffs. Fucking of course. And I was about to throw them out. Like the bottom of it, like kind of came loose. It was like a flap at the bottom, just kind of like loose. And I was going to chuck them. And then it hit me like, oh, I can't find another pair of flip-flops. There's no mall here that has my size. So I'm like, I got to save these. And so then instead I went on the hunt for like super glue in like a foreign land, or like a staple gun. And then you just go into stores like, do you have any super glue or any sort of staples that I can fucking save this, or like tape? And then it's like that part of me I rarely get to face because of like, I don't know, living in a real capitalist, like real buy in economy. It's just like, get new ones. What are you doing? You can't be, it's so unfashionable to have taping up your shoes. But there it's like that part of me I never get to explore, that saving things, you know, that's kind of real.
It's a great feeling. I just went through this with something I can't remember, but oh yeah, it was my grill. I was like, felt like it was just on the verge of being thrown out, and I spent the whole day like refurbishing it. And it just, I don't know, man. It's kind of like what you were talking about before of just getting ownership of something. Like it just felt good to, okay, like I avoided consumerism.
Yeah, even if it's just once, it feels good. Like you feel like you won the battle one time.
Yeah. Yeah. Like having a mission like that when you're traveling, I think is always fun too. Like just like that is your whole day is built around just finding flip-flops, you know?
Yeah.
It's just
Rolf Potts calls it, travel writer calls it psychogeography. He's like, whatever gets you moving around a crazy city. So either follow, like he was, when I saw him, he was following that black cat in Paris, the shot roulette, I forget what it's called. It's just this black cat. You'll know it if you see it, and it's everywhere. And he would just like stay noticing it wherever he went. And he was like, "Ooh, there's another picture of one." Like Henry Rollins tries to find record stores everywhere he goes because he's so into vinyl records. So he'll be in Moscow, and what gets him around is finding old record stores. But that kind of thing is like perfect. It was like, I have a task to do. Let me try to find it. Where in Shanghai do they have, new luggage? Because mine just busted. So then you're in Shanghai trying to find stuff. It's just like fun. It's like a task. It's like, it's a game.
I didn't know flip-flops could get that smelly because they're all open air, man. That's impressive.
I know.
That's really impressive.
I didn't say wearing the same ones every day for months and sweating. I didn't know either. I didn't know the smell was possible like that.
I mean, I guess if it's broken at the bottom, it's like a flip flop thing. Like if the name is kind of designed after. Is that one of the things that is that one of the only things that like the name is based on the sound it makes?
Yeah.
Can we talk about mushrooms?
Oh sure. Oh yeah, Norway. It's like kind of started there.
No, actually, they're pretty uptight about that sort of thing here. But
but the history, I mean, is like really tied in with Norway.
Is it?
And Viking culture.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they said all the Norway's the Vikings, right? Don't you have like a history of?
Well,
Vikings?
I mean, all around this area.
Yeah, with Scandinavia, I guess, but they had these purple meanies, I think they're called, that kept the Vikings like fighting when they had their arms cut off. Like you could lose an arm in battle, and this one mushroom was so like energetic that you were just like and you just like fight with the other hand for a while. Yeah, my friend in Iceland was with his wife, and he was like, we saw some guy, the roundabouts, like where you're driving and then the road kind of goes like that. So there's that circle in the middle. He just saw some like hippie like looking, and his wife was like, "Oh, he must have like lost something." And, we were just like, he didn't lose anything. He's just looking for mushrooms. It just rained.
Well, I mean, this is important enough for you that, I mean, if you go on to your website, which we'll link to in the show notes and everything, obviously you have your specials, your tour, merch, podcast, all that stuff. But then you have a link to this Shroom Fest, which is all about, you're saying like psychedelics make good medicine, and you have like a whole FAQ on magic mushrooms. And I'm just wondering, I'm curious about this because last year I went to on a psychedelic like therapy retreat thing. I did a whole couple episodes about it if anybody's curious. It was pretty transformative, pretty eye-opening in many ways. And yeah, I'm just wondering for you, what is important about psychedelics as medicine for you personally?
Yeah. Well, I guess a couple things. People always like for the medicinal. What was it like? Just psilocybin? What did they give you?
Yeah, it was truffles.
And then they guided you. They put you on like something to think about. And
Yeah, it was. I mean, they had like facilitators, and it was more than just that because it was a week-long thing, and there was 2 ceremonies they called them where we did this whole thing. You like lay down, put on the blindfold, and you go on a conscious journey, I guess you could say.
Well, the cool thing is it can like separate you from your. I don't really understand ego, id, and super ego. I don't get any of that. But so I'll use overlapping terms, but it separates you from like your relation to yourself. So I don't know if that's ego or whatever, but you want you to win in most stories. You break up with a chick, it's like, let me tell you why she's stupid, she was wrong or whatever. But then it's like, you don't really like, yeah, I was late a lot, or I didn't treat her right. You rarely see yourself that way. It's always the other person's fault. It's just hard to not be rooting for yourself in any story. And then mushrooms, what it lets you do is it just whips you away from yourself, and you can just see yourself from an observer perspective with no relation to it. And so you can kind of have empathy for yourself. You can kind of forgive yourself too. You can be like, whatever it is, you're like, oh, well, let's say it was like a chick. It's like, you couldn't get over her and it was like kind of lame. You're like, hey, plenty of people have been too caught up in an ex. Like, you're not the only one. Relax. That's happened before. Or you could forgive friends where it's like this person wronged me. It's like, well, you've never done something similar. It's like, when you see somebody and they're texting and driving and you're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And then you're like you don't also text and drive sometimes, and so the mushrooms will allow yourself to be like, that's a person who's texting and driving, and that person might be me or it might be someone else. But you're like, don't do it. But also like forgive people who were doing it. Like it's don't act like no one does that. And so because of that, because it separates you from yourself, you can examine your flaws and you're like I said, forgive yourself for things and like forgive other people for things. It's just really great to have that perspective. But at the same time, as you say that, generally when you take mushrooms, it's just fun. Like those experiences are fewer, much fewer than just the crazy laughs you have with friends. You look at a painting and you just start dying laughing, or it's like that's the way more common experience on mushrooms. But then you do get these moments of like pure truth, pure universal truth, where you're like, you just get it. You can't even like. I try to bring a notebook with you so you can jot down something, because you're just not gonna be able to like translate it when you come back. But that truth, that seeing the truth of the world is like, it's so beautiful that it's just like in Dogma, when they see God or they hear God's voice and you just like start crying. It's that's what it is. That truth is like Pachamama or nature or God or whatever it is. But it's just I don't know, the only real thing in the world. And so you're like, I get it. And there's lots of these little truths, and you can just see it. You can see them on mushrooms or acid or lots of stuff, even weed sometimes.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. I was just curious kind of what like why it was important to you. So,
yeah, it's like, let's say you're giving up for adoption, you hate your dad, and then you're like, you can see your parents as humans. It helps you do that. That's a good one. Where you're like, oh, well, I'm mad at my mom or dad for doing something, and they were younger in that story than I am now.
Yeah, right.
And you're
right.
like, then you could be like, well, I wasn't a fuck up 8 years ago. Like, throw a kid into that. Of course it's not gonna be done perfectly. They're just some 33-year-old lady, doing the best they can.
I forget where I heard this, but I heard someone say, this helps me sometimes in the moment when like say I'm arguing with my wife or something. It's just like, if I can take or she's like in a mood, if I could just take a beat and be like, I wish I could remember where I heard this so I could credit them, but it was like this idea of you could see somebody and they're affecting you in some negative way, and you can just think, that's just me on another day. like how they're being right now is just me on another day. That could be me tomorrow or next week. And then it's like, oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It could easily be you and will be you. It's like, what's wrong with that person? Like they're cranky because they're tired. They didn't get enough sleep. Like, oh, I've done that. I get it now. Go ahead. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, sorry, sir. Yeah. I remember being on mushrooms on my first like big trips and then like coming down and then like the appetite comes back. Like you try to take mushrooms on an emptier stomach. They hit harder and cleaner, but then your appetite will go away. While you're on the mushrooms. But then, let's say 5 hours later, when it starts to like wear off, now you have where you already were hunger wise, and then another 5 hours. So like you're starving. You're like, I gotta eat. So we all went out to get a burrito, and I saw like a heroin addict, and I'm still halfway in, halfway out. And I see this heroin addict, and I'm like, that's just me. I caught friends who got into weed. So pretty lucky because I could have caught friends that got into heroin. And then that would have been me, you know? Yeah, it wasn't even really a choice, it was just what your friends were into, You're into the music your friends were into, or your older sister was into, or your friend's older sister was into, and you thought they were cool. It's really not your choice, it's like what's presented to you. Um, it's just like it's not a coincidence everyone in Latin America likes Latin music, It's what's presented to them. And Americans like American rock. It's like that's not the best. It's just like that's what we see. So like, yeah, you could be like, that's just me on another day. That's just me. If one of my friends had a friend who was into like the wrong drug, then that's gonna seep through. Now we're all into it. Now there's no turning back. The sports you're into and stuff, but the negative stuff is like could have easily been you.
I want to respect your time, Ari. Just a couple more things. First of all, we should mention the podcast one more time. You Be Trippin. For you, launching a podcast in travel, I mean, that to me, that's like next level. I'm passionate about travel, which I think is really cool. I'm excited that you've got a new podcast in the travel space that's focused on travel. And yeah, I mean, what's your greatest hope for it? Is it just the I found so much fulfillment personally in just having these conversations as a podcast host, let alone getting to share it and hopefully like providing value to other people listening. Yeah, podcasting for you, what is it? What's kind of the role for that in your life, and what is your hope for this pod?
Well, I mean, I've done it before, a podcast, and it's just like it served me well to help me reach my audience really well to promote my live shows. And now that that's going well, I want to do something I'm actually more, like I said, passionate about or more into. And I just love traveling. And then there's this book that's kind of become my Bible for travel called Vagabonding by this guy who I eventually met and became friends with, Rolf Potts. And he has a very short book about long-term like travel. And it's like split into sections. The first, like it's thirds, but really it's the middle is like 85% of it. But the beginning part is getting ready. And it's like, it talks about how like, once you decide I'm going to go long-term traveling, it's like every skipped meal where you bag your own lunch, that's another day in like, the Philippines that you can afford. So it's like everything's for a purpose. Like I'm not buying anything new. I'm just going to wear out my old pants because I got to sell everything anyway. And then the heart of the book is about being gone, how to do it, how to find hostels, what drugs you should do or stay away from, meeting people, things like that. And then the last section, another 5 to 10% is coming home. And one of the things that always stuck with me is like when he said coming home, he goes, be prepared for no one to really care about your stories. And you've been to just the most far off reaches of the world. You've walked on abandoned temples from people that have been wiped out, 1,000 years ago, and gotten to the edges of the planet. And it's so mind altering and amazing. And you start telling your friends, and they want to know for about 2 minutes, and then they like, oh yeah, my friend Marsha had a Peruvian coat. There's a sale this week at Bloomingdale's, and they have lots of coats, and they just shifted away, and you're just like, he just prepared me for it, reading that book, and it was just they're not gonna. I don't know if it's because they don't understand, but they just don't care. they just can't see it or something. They just don't care. And then you're just left with like, damn, I'm telling you what I had to say right now is going to be way more interesting than your dumb, normal office gossip. But every like 10th of your friends does care. And they go, no. Tell me what you did out there. What'd you eat? What? And so like, was it safe? Was it cool? Like, what'd you eat? How'd you get a new pair of flip-flops? Well, how much did that cost? What were the markets like? Tell me everything. And they really want to know. And so because I go out and travel, that's me too. I also want to know. And so this is like just kind of a natural way for like, let me hear your stories. Tell me about a place. I want to hear about it. I don't want to hear like I call them the statues, like what you're supposed to see, you know? In Oslo, it's like, it'd be like, I don't know how many Oslosian, whatever, like listeners you have, but like, I know it'd be like, go to the, whatever that award is. Sorry. It's early.
The Nobel Peace Prize.
The Nobel, yeah, go down there. It's like, okay, those are the statues. That's like the stuff you're supposed to do. The squares where they always have ice cream because it's like a lot of tourists. You're supposed to go there and see those things. The Eiffel Tower, sure. But then like that river is like, oh, that's more like what there is actually to do. And it's like, and if I had just gotten back and you were going, I was like, oh, check out this river. It's kind of cool. Or there was some like bar there that was covered in graffiti. Like they just invited graffiti artists to come in and just like tag the walls completely. And it was just like, no offense to Oslo, but Bergen is a cooler town. But like there is still a cool underground like scene in Oslo. And I was just there at this like punker bar. And I'm like, a bunch of people doing blow. I was not, but like a bunch of people kept going to the bathroom to do that. It was just like cool music. And I'm like, oh, this is a cool spot. And they're like, that's what I want to hear about, like what you actually got into and not just like what you're supposed to do in Norway.
Right. Yeah, cool. I mean, I love the intention behind the show.
Fell in love, or like, yeah, you got arrested, or you fucking shot yourself, or like, how did you get around, or like, fine. Hearing about Stavanger, like, and how it's like, oh, it's like it's dumbasses. It's a bunch of fucking workers, but there's some good fish there, and like, whatever. It's just like, I don't know, getting a real vibe of a city, or like, oh, I got food poisoning there. Like, ooh, what's the hospital like there? Yeah, I had to go to a hospital in damn, I don't know. It's been so long since I've been there, so I'm mixing up Bergen and Oslo a little bit. But then like I'd come from Berlin, I danced too long on drugs, and then I went straight to Norway, and then my back was just like, no, you're done. You can't dance for 14 hours. And then having to leave, but I couldn't leave. I had to stay an extra day and like try to find hospital care in a foreign country. And it's like, you guys have a great system, but like, I don't know how to use it, So that's the kind of fun stuff I want to hear about, the getting by and discovering things and just like what people got into. So like your version of Paris is going to be different than my version of Paris. Yeah, I've had a lot of, and every episode I finish, not everyone, most of them, me and the guests just sit there afterwards and just like kind of sigh because we want to get the fuck out of town again. Just want to leave. Just makes us like, damn, I want to go.
That's the blessing and the curse of the travel podcast. You just it just fuels your wanderlust constantly,
Yeah. My goal is if I can make one person, like I go minimal, if I can make one person just quit their job and just be like, after listening to a few of those podcasts, like, you know what? Fuck this. I have enough savings. This job is so anyway. I'm quitting, and I'm going to just go to like, South America for 6 months. It's like, that's all I want. If it'll make you do that or get your passport, great. That's a win.
Nice. Yeah. Sounds like we share a similar mission here with the pods.
Yeah. I mean, you want to be entertaining and stuff, but how do you want it to reach people? It's like give them the same wanderlust.
You should come back to Oslo and do a gig.
Yeah, for sure.
We've had Rolf on the show actually, and I know his wife Kiki has a like a connection to Norway. So when they came through Norway, I guess he loved it. So I've been trying for like a year to talk him into doing one of his writing retreats here in Norway. I'm like, why don't you just come here, get a cabin,
Yeah.
We'll see.
He does him in Paris. I took his class 2 summers ago. It was really great.
Oh, you did? Cool.
Yeah. He's been trying to get me to go for a while, but like, he was like, Ari, there's no humor in the travel literature world anyway. It's all just like, I got arrested in a foreign country, or this was the most amazing experience. There's like almost no humor in that whole field. So he's like, just write some funny stories about your travels. It'll be great. He's always like, I'll help you like edit. I'm a professional writer. Like, I'll help you like go through your stuff. But anyways, he took me down there. But it's like you're in Paris. It's just like full of like ideas. He's like, now the deal is wander around, look for stuff, and Paris will just give you things. I bet if you did something in like the north of Norway in the summer, the nature would do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, that is the number one perk. And
Yeah, like get a big cabin or a couple cabins, and then like have everyone up there for like a week or two, and then it's like now go wander, do like Walden, go like wander and look at the woods, and let that talk to you.
yeah, I'd like to hear the stand up, like the hour that comes out of you in the Norwegian cabin. Like just just come over, like get a cabin for I don't know where that's gonna go, but that sounds amazing. I've always been curious about how to write a joke. How do you write a joke? Could we write a joke together right now, or is there some version of or you could just lay out the kind of process, or is it like, does it just come?
Yeah, some guys write jokes. I don't do that. I don't know how to do one of those. And I used to know better, and then I so out of shape. I just like get an idea of what I want to talk about, and then I just like talk about it enough until I find the funny parts of it. Like Mark Norman and Sam Morrill, they know how to like write jokes. That's just not me. So yeah, I don't know. What I do is I write down. I'll take like a familiar book, as Rolf calls it. Like maybe it's in here. Nope. Like a small notebook. No, I don't have it. And then if I get an idea of something like gets my train of thought, or whatever, I'll just write down a topic in the notebook. And then before I go on stage, I'll look through a list of like topics. And then I'll like decide like, oh, I want to talk about this. Finally, I want to talk about this. I wrote it down a while ago, like buying flowers. Like I saw somebody on the side of the road in New York. They have these flower shops all this, next to supermarkets in the streets. And it's like, and I was getting flowers for my girlfriend. And it was like you got to wait for the people in front of you. And then you got to like speak Spanish to a guy. So you got to like remember your Spanish. And then you got to like find out how much it is and go, no, that's too much. You're killing me on this. And they go, oh, fine. Oh, 20, not 28. And then you got to bargain. And then it takes a while. But in the movies, you just see a guy and a girl walking. And then he's like, babe. And he just grabs the flowers and gives them and like throws like a buck to the guy. And he's like, this is for you. And she's like, oh, great. But the reality is it's never that easy. It's never that smooth. You got to be waiting for someone and someone's taking forever. Like, come on, I'm trying to do something romantic. So like something like that, you write down like reality versus movies. And then like you might have other ideas about it. And then like the bit will just kind of like form. You take it to an audience, they'll laugh at some parts and not laugh at other parts. And then just slowly changes.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. At the heart of that question was just like curiosity about your process. But
yeah.
Do you still love it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah, I'm still having a blast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, congratulations on all these.
Yeah,
success,
I got another
man.
year or so in me, and then I'll go to do some long-term traveling.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really? Are you going to take a gap year and take a year off and travel or something like that?
Yeah, 6-8 months or a year or something. I think South America. Yeah, just finish up some work and then do a tour and then get lost again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let me know if you come through town. I appreciate your time. Of course, we'll link to all the goodies. Yeah, thanks for coming on. And I'll pitch myself as a guest on your show. I mean, if you need another person to come talk travel, I'll just throw it out there since we're here. Yeah,
I mean, if you're in New York, I like to do them live. I don't do them over the web.
Yeah.
But if you're in New York, let me know if you're going to be here.
Sounds great, man. I think I'll be there this summer. So, thanks again. Take care.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks once again to Ari Shaffir. Of course, you can check out his podcast, You Be Trippin. And I want to say thank you for being a part of this community, for listening to the show, for spending time here with me today. And I want to hear from you. If you haven't checked in, you can leave me a voicemail. You can drop me an email. Let me know what topics you want me to cover here in the pod, what guests you want me to have on, anything. Just get in touch, say hi. This is a community-powered show, need I remind you. And I do it for you. So I'd love to hear your feedback. And you can always subscribe to the newsletter if you haven't done so. It's free, zerototravel.com/newsletter. I send it out once a week. You'll get some travel tips, some bit of destination fodder for your wanderlust, to fuel your wanderlust, let's say. Musings, things going on off the pod, all that good stuff. You can stay in touch over there and be a part of the community there. Now, I'm going to leave you with a quote in a second, but first, at the beginning of the show, you might have heard during the interview, we talked about sort of the dip and plateauing when you're working on something and you kind of get stuck. And, when you start something new, you're really excited about it and you dive in, and then you kind of can plateau. And one of the things that I like to tell myself when I get into something new, as I'm just starting, some permission I need to give myself, and that is giving myself permission to suck. I got to give myself permission to suck, because I know when I start something, I'm going to want to be really good at it, and I'm going to want to get good at it quickly. And it doesn't mean you want to suck, but it just means you're giving yourself permission to do so, and understanding that, hey, okay, for example, if I want to be a songwriter, I have to write some crappy songs before I can get to the good ones. Maybe, you get to the good ones quicker than other people. Maybe you don't. Hard to say. But it's part of the process, right? You want to get into sculpture. You want to make clay pots or whatever, with the wheel thing. That thing always looked fun. I never got to do that, where you spin the wheel and you put your hands on the mud and shape the bowls or whatever. Well, the first bowl is probably not going to be exactly the way you imagine it in your mind, right? And that can be sort of disappointing, but if you kind of go into it giving yourself permission to suck, and you're like, you know what? I know I'm going to suck at this for a little while, but then I'm going to get better. It just kind of eases the pain, in my opinion. So I wanted to share that with you. And before I let you go, I will also leave you with a quote. Had to find a quote from a comedian, the great Rodney Dangerfield. This is a bit travel related, you could say. He's the king of the one-liners. He said, "When I was a kid, my parents moved a lot, but I always found them." Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Peace and love to you and yours. Cheers.
This podcast has been brought to you by ZeroToTravel.com. Ideas and advice to make your travel dreams a reality.